Hello, and welcome to part two of spring 2025 eclipses. We are going to start off by looking at the astrology from March 24th to March 30th, which is the time frame, the week that we are in now, the week that has been highlighted on every astrologer's calendar since like 2020. This week is monumental in shifting some very deep things about us personally and some things happening collectively in our shared reality. So today's video, what we're going to cover is this week in astrology. We are going to cover what the eclipses are doing and tagging them in with the eclipses that they are connected with, which started in April of 2023. Just going to touch on that briefly. And then how to work with this. Like when you finish watching this video, you should have some solid ideas. I would bring a pen and paper, take notes, because I will definitely leave you with something tangible to work with. So let's start off by looking at the 24th of March, which was yesterday. We had a Sun Mercury conjunction. Now, the reason this is called, people call it a cazimi. Now, the reason this is important is because Venus went retrograde at 10 degrees of Aries on March 1st. I don't have my notes, but I know that that date for sure. It's like etched into me. And that was at 10 degrees. And then when Mercury went retrograde, Mercury went retrograde right around 9 degrees of Aries and is following very closely behind Venus throughout this entire retrograde. Venus is going to retrograde to 24 of Pisces, and Mercury is going to retrograde back to not quite, I think like 26, 28 Pisces. Now remember, Neptune is right there at that final degree of Pisces, 29-degree Pisces. I'll talk about what all this means. Just stick with me for this. You can write down the notes if that's helpful for you. And okay, so now we've got this picture of Venus and Mercury starting the retrograde cycles right around the same point in Aries. So if you have anything around 9, 10 degrees Aries, and I would even stretch it to a 3-degree orb. So you could say anything from 13 degrees of Aries all the way through, let's say, about 21 degrees of Pisces. This chunk of your natal sky, I think of this like the sky of your inner awareness. You are being worked right now. You are getting worked. And so this is a time, especially if you have personal planets being Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, say your rising sign, your descendant, your north node, your south node. These are going to be the major things. If you have any of those within that range that I mentioned between Aries and Pisces, we need to talk. I have planets there, and it is unreal. Okay, so we'll get more into that as we go along. So we had that Mercury Sun conjunction happen yesterday, and wow, I don't know what happened in your life, but just think about it. Get your little handy pencil, take some notes. And nothing had to have happened like a big, huge thing that is super notable. It can just be in your awareness. I had an epiphany. I had this realization. Things started shifting and moving into place. I'll tell you one thing that I realized was I've been practicing Tantra yoga, Vedanta yoga. I used to live in India for 2 years, so I'm really into the yogic philosophy and practicing japa, which is basically you take your prayer beads. I don't have any near me, but you take your prayer beads and you like reciting this mantra over and over and over. And I know it's beneficial, but it dawned on me yesterday while I was walking why this is such a powerful tool. And it was in the moment that my mind started going off into story. This is a Mercury thing. I started to like go off into this like, and I could feel my facial features getting like, oh, all twisted up with the emotions. And my mantra came into my mind. And I was like, oh my God, that's what that is for. It's actually mantra, which is man is manas, tra is like a weapon or a tool. And it's put together, it's like a tool that saves your mind, or like a weapon for the mind, or a tool for the mind, something like that. And it saved me. It literally saved me in that moment. And my eyes just filled up with tears and was like, wow, I just got that. And I've been practicing this since like 2007. And it just now. So there's things like that. That's an example. And it to me, that's huge. To me, that is a huge thing. It doesn't have to be huge. It can just be a little thing where you're like, that just made sense. I just now got that. Okay, so we had that happening yesterday. Today, the 25th, at around 3 Pacific Standard Time, we had Mercury making a sextile to Pluto. Why this is important is because so we are in the retrograde. This happened already once before. It's happening now again. And then it'll happen once more when Venus and Mercury go direct. So Venus and Mercury have been having this interaction with Pluto. Who is Pluto? What's Pluto about? Well, Pluto has to do with wealth. And you can say the power of your emotions, which is your wealth, the power of your secrets. It's all tied in with wealth. And when I say wealth, I don't mean the banking system wealth. I mean your internal well, well, your well. It's like an infinite well of energy, which is what your wealth is really about. That's why when we're having strong emotions, we're spending our energy. It's an expenditure unless you are being met in a certain way where you can have a container for those emotions and build them into something. This is what Pluto is all about. We talk about Pluto in sexuality, in wealth, in power, control. And because all of that area of life has to do with how we generate life force energy, how we regenerate ourselves, AKA healing, how we regenerate our lineage through conception of a child and bringing another child into the earth that is part of your lineage. All of that's related to Pluto. And in the mundane, or like the world collective astrology, it also has to do with all of the secrets and the power systems and control systems. A thing that came to my mind recently was about the caste system that we know of from South Asia, not just India. There's other South Asian places that have this. And I was like, we kind of have it too. There is a cat. It is, we can get out of it, and we congratulate people when they've gotten out of their caste system. Like if you were born in, you were raised in a trailer park or in the hood or something like that, and you found a way to move out of your caste system that you were born into, that's a miracle. We love it. We congratulate it. But best believe it is a thing, and it's a social construct that we definitely have in our country. So anyway, that's a Pluto topic. So now, when Venus and Mercury are having these interactions with Pluto, since Pluto is the bigger planet, and let me also just mention this in case you didn't know, which you probably do, but Pluto has recently entered into Aquarius for good. We had some cameo appearances last year, and now we have the final, like, Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. And so there's a new energy that has to do with wealth, this big crypto thing that's coming into everybody's awareness is part of Pluto in Aquarius. There are so many things Pluto in Aquarius is actively engaged. Like we can really see the power of Pluto in Aquarius when we're looking at people's sovereignty about their wealth management, what they consider to be how they want to spend their life force energy, the breaking addictions to being stuck on screens, this Pluto and Aquarius, the seemingly takeover of jobs by AI, Pluto and Aquarius. And what this is also doing is getting people into their power. So they are we are being forced to step into our power in a way that is connecting with the needs of the earth. So the idea that comes to me is this grassroots projects. Like, I see a need for this thing, so I'm going to do it. Maybe I'm going to collaborate with some other people and be like, hey, I got this idea. Let's do this thing. And so we start to create our own economy. We start to create ways of earning resources, not necessarily those dollar bills that smell a certain way, which I found one today, a hundo. I was driving my car, dropping my kid off at school, and I'm like on the road doing 25 miles an hour, and I got this. I saw that thing in the on the curb, and I was like, scoot, got out of the car. I was wearing my robe and everything. And it's like, look, baby, I got a hundo. He's like, Mom, how does this stuff happen to you? I'm telling you, I got 5 planets in Pisces. I'm in another thing. So anyway, when I say resources, I don't necessarily mean those hundos, although, we can still use them and trade them for things. But the resources are going to be different. It's like, who are you connected with? And I do not mean the way that we've been before, like, oh, who do you know? And like, I've had this in my life where people will either choose me or not choose me based off of who I'm connected to. And like, as part of our sitting down to decide if we're going to be in relationship with each other, the guy is like, all right, you get your people together, I'll get my people together, we'll see how we can, kind of like using people as pawns to like do something for ourselves. I don't mean that. I mean, who is within your, like, oh, okay, my daughter, she does this art, and I'm like, hey, let's do this thing. You know what I mean? It's not like using people as pawns. That is part of the old scheme, and anything that is attached to the old schemes is being crushed right now. So with Venus and Mercury making these 3 sextiles with Pluto. Now, I talked a little bit about Pluto because it's a bigger energy. It's a further away planet, which means that it is a cultural thing. It's like one of these big forces that is not everybody has to embody Pluto because Pluto is a transpersonal planet. And I feel like you can tell when somebody is embodying Pluto because they are like this orb of power. When they walk in the space, you feel them. I love people like that personally. I have a strong Pluto interaction on my chart, and I feel like that is, you're aware of situations that most people don't want to touch. They haven't experienced certain things, and it's not part of their reality, and it's totally fine. The transpersonal planets are like that. They're not part of our identity. They're part of the culture in which we are connected with, but not necessarily part of our ego identity or like our ego structure. But guess who is? Mercury and Venus, huge part of our ego structure because they are within the boundary of Saturn. So if we were out looking at the night sky, we could see Saturn with our naked eye, and anything that we can see from Saturn inward is part of our ego identity structure. So with Venus and Mercury making these interactions with Pluto, you can see how Venus being that soft animal body that wants what it wants. I can't remember how that poem goes, but every time I think about Venus, I think about that. Like that is our animal body, the sensuality that is necessary for what is even life worth if you're not connected to the senses and feeling the pleasure of the sun shining on your skin, like these basic. It's so not basic, though. It is, especially now that so much disconnect from nature. It's so not basic. But that's what Venus is. Has to do with our natural health, meaning that when we are in natural, healthy relationship with the earth, with the plants, flowers, the bees, each other, we are resourced. We are comfortable. Our nervous system is naturally attuned with the rhythm of the earth. And you can lean back, your kidneys can rest. See, I'm leaning forward. I'm like in my Mars out here, my little cheeks getting flushed. And like that is a Mars energy. When you come back, oh God, that feels so good. Let me move my mic. So, even that, all of that is part of Venus, like leaning back, letting the exhale soften your body. And from there, being able to tune in to the Venus gemstone in your heart, which is coded with what I value, what I'm worth, what I'm longing for, how my body wants to feel in relation to others on earth. Tuning into that, letting that grow and grow and grow in brightness and vitality so that you are naturally attracting things that match what's coded within the Venus gemstone within your body. And so that's a huge part of our personal makeup. And it does take some work to get back connected to Venus because we have been such a solar functioning culture, solar functioning. So that would be Mars and the sun. We have more emphasis on those parts of our identity. So it can take some time to get into Venus. Now, Mercury has to do with the functioning of our mind. Mercury, having to do with the functioning of our mind in Aries, is very individualistic. Venus in Aries is also very based on what is unique about me, what I desire. And then as they move back into Pisces, they dip back into this the sea of consciousness, into the whole cosmic soup of timelessness. This is going to be including our spirit guides, our ancestors, the ancestors that we have from other star systems. It's even those spirits that don't look like fairies and they don't look like star beings and they are like spirit, like celery spirits. I received this teaching from I can't remember their names now, but that it was like this. I'm like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I do talk to my celery. I have a connection with the celery, and that I never thought about like the spirit of the celery. And like, although once I was sitting with my friend Papa Alms and we were doing some gardening out here, and we were pulling just the this little strays of grass and things, and I was like, I wonder if these guys have a soul or a spirit. And my friend Papa Alms was like, yeah, it's like a unified field of grass. It's, maybe it's not like the individual grasses, but like the unified field of, I was like, yeah, that's right. So, and beyond that, because those spirits can be things that we don't even know about them yet, but probably during this time of, and I'll get into this, transits that are going between Pisces and Aries all of 2025, like this, we are starting to sense those spirits. So every time the planets dip back into Pisces, we're going to be like, oh, yeah, there's so much more that I haven't quite put my awareness on that thing. But once you acknowledge it, you'll be like, I've always known that. I've always felt that, but it just hadn't put my awareness to it yet. So it's about matching vibrations with the thing. So, okay, so when Mercury dips back into Pisces, I always love the way people talk about Mercury and Pisces, like, oh, it's all confusion and delusion and all. I'm like, for you it is, for me it's not, because that's how I feel very well functioning with Mercury and Pisces, because that's my major way of seeing reality. And I understand that it's not for most people who speak English or like a language at all because it's beyond language. It is a world of feelings, of senses, of dreams. You know, when you just lay down for like 20 minutes and you have this like, you like go somewhere. And that's what Mercury in Pisces is like, except for that you're not taking a nap. It's like you're here and you kind of go somewhere and you're like, ooh, what's going on? But if you try to make it make logical sense, you try to use your reasoning functions, that's when it seems delusional or illusional or deceptive or whatever. But you don't have to try to make it make sense. You can allow those informative experiences of Mercury and Pisces be just what they are. It's just adding texture to the experience of your awareness within the field of awareness. So, whew, that we stayed on that for a lot longer than I thought we would. So anyway, this is not going to last that long. Although, so we have this one happening today on the 25th, Mercury sextile Pluto. And then we will have both of these one more time. And I don't have the dates here, but it's not going to be, I think it'll be in the first week of April, maybe between somewhere around April. I don't know the exact dates. I'll put it in the show notes, but we will have these one more time where the sextile is adding a positive, what do you call this? Like a sexy, it's flirtatious, it's easy breezy. It's so easy breezy, you might miss it. So it's like an opportunity to understand something. Like if I hadn't have gone to that class that lasted from 7 to midnight on Monday night, I may have missed this one piece of information that opened me up to understand this next level thing, stuff like that. You could have missed the call and not got the thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to say yes to opportunities with the sextiles. Okay, so then we've got, let's go to the 26th. We have Mars square Chiron. Now, this is another thing that has been going on for like 6 months now. We've been within the range of this challenging alignment between Mars in Cancer and Chiron, who has been around 19, 20, 21, like around that area of Aries. Mars has been like 17. Now I think Mars is at 21. I think they're both at 21 now for this square. So what does this do? What is it about? This isn't actually a big part of the eclipse because Mars's position has been so transformative for our life, but also because Mars is the planetary ruler of Aries, the eclipse is in Aries. This puts Mars front and center for our eclipse experience. So this square is like, you know how there's a lot of like gender equality issues, and somebody who I follow is calling it the gender wars. It's like so much stirred up about, well, men are like this and well, women are like this, and they just said all this stuff. It's like keeping us from merging and keeping us from connection and being in love with each other and procreating and being, you know, in love and creating life together. So I want that to stop, obviously. But so with Mars at this 90-degree angle with Chiron, a lot of this stuff will be coming to a head this week. Coming to a head is like somebody will say just the right thing you needed to hear that helps you to understand where you are holding conflict with your own inner masculine, where you are holding resentment, where you have wounds, because Chiron really touches into the wound and the gift. So the wound of insecurity in relation to men and masculinity, and all of the proof that we've had for reasons to not trust men and masculinity, and that goes for all the, women have masculinity. Like when I was in the military, there was a lot of women who were, I don't know how to say this, like more in that masculine stance than some of the men were. So women can also carry this. The Chiron square can also impact women in a way of like our own woundedness about how we run our masculine energy and how we relate to men and other beings who are masculine energy. So I want to mention that, like, I have this big dog. You might have seen him because I used to let him be around for my videos, Dakota. And that could be a masculine force in your life. It doesn't just have to be like a man or somebody who has masculine energy. It can be like your dog. That's, you know what I mean? That's more like assertive. So something coming up there. And again, if you have anything around 21 degrees Cancer, I do. Or if you have anything around 21 degrees Aries, those things are going to be interacted with. And you know what? I am going to do an all signs video getting closer to the eclipse. Maybe we'll do it live so we can all like chime in on that. But that's the 26th. Now let's look at the 27th. Yes, every single day. Every single day. Actually, the every single day situation started on the 19th. We had the Sun conjunct Neptune. On the 20th, we had Sun enter Aries, the equinox. The 21st, we had the Venus sextile Pluto. The 22nd, we had Sun conjunct Venus. The 23rd, we had Sun sextiling Pluto. And then there we go. Every single day, there has been something that is an impactful transit. All right, so here we are on the 27th now. We have Venus retrograde re-entering Pisces. So as Venus re-enters Pisces, there is a softening because Venus in Aries is very much like, oh my God, I did this. I really did this last week, which was like this, and this. And if it's not like that, I don't want it, like, and so the magic of Venus and Aries is that we are becoming very set in knowing the Venus gemstone in our heart and doing it, like being about it. And taking nothing less than the people around us being about that too. So, what is it that you're being about right now? What is it that you like? The way that you're attracting things is by you being about it and then taking nothing less, accepting nothing less than other people to either match that level of energy or having something that is at least, within the realm of like, they don't have to be about what you're about, but coming with a certain level of initiation on their own. Because Venus as a morning star is not like Venus as an evening star. Evening star Venus is a lot more like what we consider Venus as the goddess of love. When Venus is in the morning star phase, she is more of a warrior goddess. And Venus is always going to be attractive. Venus is always about attracting and relaxation. It's always about that Venus gemstone and radiating what it is that you're calling into your life. But in Aries, as a morning star, it is much more about initiating, like, oh, I would like somebody in around. It's not even about the somebody around you. It's like, I want these things in my life, so I do it. I do the things that I want in my life. That little phrase I always post everywhere, which is, don't chase what you love, become it. That is the whole thing for Venus morning star in Aries, which we're going to have. This energy is for 584 days, so get used to it. Now, when Venus goes back into Pisces on the 27th, there is a softening of that where we're able to be like, oh, the possibilities. And it's really good to get into that. What are the possibilities? What is my vision? Because as we receive those visions, when Venus goes back into Aries, we have more broadened vision of what is possible, and we have more capacity to put the boots on the ground and get things moving. So we need to be As we get to the 27th, Venus dips back into Pisces. Do more dreamy things. I've already ordered my Epsom salts, my magnesium flakes. I'm ready for those long baths because I do, in the relaxation, receive more information. I can like connect with the water. I highly recommend putting your precious animal body in some salt water, starting on the 27th. Now, another thing that's happening on the 27th, so that ingress into Pisces is like 1, 2 in the morning on the 27th. And then at 6 in the morning, we are going to have Venus conjuncting Neptune. I say it like that because last time Venus conjuncted Neptune, oh boy, whew, I had some good, super good realizations that changed my whole thing. It like I'll tell you right now because I have a feeling you want to know about this. Well, the and it was one of these times that I just took a little quick nap and it was like a daydream that was just like God talking directly to me. And it had to do with when I'm in love, when I love somebody, which I'm feeling this so much right now. When I'm in love, I become love. And it's like I disappear in a big, it's like becoming love. And that I have this initial reaction to it, which is like, oh my God, like this person is amazing and I want the best for them. So they should be with somebody else, obviously, because they're amazing. And then what ends up happening is that I step it up and step it up and step it up and become the person that I know I am meant to be. So I get better because I want the best for them. Now, Venus Neptune conjunct at that 29-degree point of Pisces can really blow your mind on what is possible for your own personal Venusian experience in life. For me, becoming love is literally all I want. I have Taurus rising. Venus is my what do you call this? Planetary ruler. This is like a huge thing for me. So it's not, I have been in this meditation of what does it really mean to embody Venus? And so this information that came to me, it was like part of a thing. You know what I mean? And it may not have any relevance in your life whatsoever, but I'll share it with you anyway. So when we have this on the 27th, kind of soften yourself to receive information because Neptune in Pisces, woo, okay, we've had this for like 14 years and it's ending now, and we will never, ever, ever have Neptune in Pisces again in our entire lifetime. So this week, really tune in. Again, go into the water, sit with the ocean. I was with my friend, two of my friends. Was that yesterday? It might have been yesterday or the day before that. But we went down to the ocean. She is a daughter of Yemaya, the ocean, and she was like opened up this space for us. I could feel so much from the ocean and like being connected to that huge motherly energy. And with this woman who has built her relationship with Yemaya, with the ocean goddess, or with the energy of the ocean, you could call it. This is really what we need to be doing during this time. If you don't live near the ocean, you can do it in a meditative state, like do like a inner journey work to take yourself to the ocean and connect, or just get in some salt water. And then, okay, so that was the 27th. Oh, the 28th, we have a little break because there's nothing happening. I haven't seen the chart for the moon on that day, but the moon is always doing something every day. The moon is micromanaging everything. All right, so on the 29th, we have Mercury re-entering Pisces. So when Mercury re-enters Pisces, same thing goes. We soften back into that big picture, ethereal. Like I think about the sea of consciousness and the threads or the waves that hold everything together in the universe, and being able to tune in at that level. There's a big love, and I mean a capital L, love energy connected with Pisces. That's on the 29th. We get to oh, hold on. The 29th is the day of the eclipse. So right after, let's see, the eclipse is actually happening at around 4 a.m. It's actually 3:58. Let me skip that because we're going to talk about the eclipse more in depth. So on the 30th, Neptune enters Aries. This is so huge. It needs a video all of its own because so many things. Last time we had Neptune in Aries was like within a day of the starting of the Civil War in America. So, big energy right there. Let's let's talk about this transition from Pisces being the whole sea of consciousness, the where we go in and float and trust, that we're trusting the universe or trusting God, whatever you call it. We the Jesus take the wheel thing, today when I was on my run, I was like praying to praying, like speaking my intentions, and it's like, I'm giving this to you and I trust you and I am surrendering. Surrender is a Pisces word. I am surrendering. And surrender is an active thing. It's not like I'm just laying here floating around, because even when you're floating, you still got to like do some stuff, but you can't just, it's not like like I'm just floating. It's like, oh, we're going, oh, like this. Ah, okay. You got to still do stuff. It's an active thing. So, um, hmm. When now that's Pisces. Neptune in Pisces has been teaching us all about that. We've been learning about our spirit guides. We've been learning how energy runs through our body. Healing became the coolest, trendy thing starting in about 2012 when Neptune, I think it was 2011, when Neptune first entered Pisces. Healing, everybody was a healer all of a sudden. And that's what happens when Neptune enters a sign. The whole collective takes up that theme. So healing became the trendy, popular thing. All these yoga studios opened up and they're doing things like touching you and putting essential oil drops on you and doing all these things that aren't really yoga, but whatever. That was Neptune and Pisces. Now, from that, which is like a big sea of expanded universal consciousness, we get to Aries, which is individual. Aries is the rising sun. It's like how we just imagine if you've ever slept outside and when it's dark and you're under the Milky Way is your blanket, as my little boy, the youngest of my kids, said one night when we were sleeping outside in Kauai. It's like the Milky Way is my blanket. And all these stars, we're just looking at them, watching the shooting stars and all of this. And you're in that Piscean realm. And then the sun starts to come up and everything gets very like, oh, we got to go. Like we got to do this. And there's the energy that comes is unstoppable. And it is very much about, I need to pee, I need to brush my teeth. It's like, what are you doing first thing in the morning? So Aries, Neptune going into Aries is getting us very energized. And it is very much about what are you doing first thing in the morning? And individual. So, like I mentioned, when Neptune went into Pisces, everybody became a healer. Healing was cool. When Neptune goes into Aries, everybody becomes a hero. Everybody, heroism is a cool thing. Um, Everybody's going to be really into martial arts, weapons training. Our physical bodies, like if you haven't started now, you will and you should. I did should on you. Because with the transition between Pisces and Aries is asking us to connect with that whole sea of consciousness and then come back on the ground, get your boots on, train your physical body, figure out who you are, bring that energy into the wilderness of earth. And it's about trailblazing. It's about um, being committed to a cause. Aries is so committed to a cause. If you can get your cause all lined up, this energy it was going to carry, it is going to not, it's not going to carry you. It will be the wind behind you. So you got to be in that movement for this to work for you. Okay, so let's go back now and we'll talk about this eclipse. So, hmm. I think I mentioned this. April 19th, 2023, we had the first eclipse, which was at 29 degrees Aries. Just think back, look on your phone, look in your photos from that time frame, look at your emails, to see what was going on in your life. I haven't done this yet for myself, so I'm going to do it too. See what was going on. That was the first one. So, what have these eclipses been working for you? You're gonna, and what we'll do probably on Friday is go through and I'll cover all 12 signs and we'll pull cards because that's something that I know you like. And so what's been happening in your life? You want to ask yourself that. And then let's see. We had in October 2023 another eclipse that was at 21 Libra. So that's the opposite. So you always want to be looking at these in the whole axis. So Aries Libra axis, right now the eclipses, this is a little bit of a weird one because the north node is already in Pisces, the south node is already in Virgo. So the eclipses for the next 2 years is actually going to stretch into a little bit longer than 2 years. But these eclipses are going to be going through Pisces and Virgo. But this is an out of sign eclipse, still very potent, but it is finishing up those eclipses that we were experiencing in Libra and Aries. This is the last one. So you want to look back, see what was going on in your life, and really take this as the grand finale. This is the grand finale eclipse, and it's happening at 9 degrees, right? I don't think I wrote that down. I'm pretty sure. Did I write that down? Yeah, 9 degrees and 0 minutes is exactly 9 degrees of Aries. So look at your chart. What do you have there? And remember what I said about that 9 degree Aries? Yes, that's right where Mercury went retrograde, right around where Venus went retrograde. So this is a hot spot. So see what you have on your chart there and use a 3 degree orb. So 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 9, 8, 7, 6. So between 6 and 12. That was easy math. I didn't need to count on my fingers. Anyway, so the eclipses are meant to be a turning point, a breakthrough. Since it's a new moon and it's on the side of the north node, this is going to be about breaking through something, like getting past whatever that hump was. So look at the house. And again, we'll go through these. For me, it was my 12th house. So it's like everything I had been working on, trying to do, and I do say that word on purpose. It was a try. It wasn't easy. I was like, this, that, like trying different things and was like, wow, tough time with a North Node in the 12th house. And then what was happening on the opposite side in Libra is also there that because the axis is the you always working with the whole thing. You're never working with just one. It's always both sides of the thing. So what's happening is that we are getting pushed because it's a north node. There is an evolutionary push to be the person, to do the thing that you are meant to be, the thing that you are meant to do. It's like, okay, we've had 2 years, 3 years since 2023 to experience the possibilities. And you also can look back to, what was that, 2005? Yes, 2005 is the last time we had the eclipses going through, North Node being on the Aries side, South Node being on the Libra side. You can look back in your life and see what you were doing then and see how our current eclipses have been a continuation of that story. And that's really helpful. I find that to be extremely helpful to be like, oh, look how far I've come. This is what, obviously, what this is about. For me, it's definitely about like sleep, sleep injuries, traumatic sleep experiences, the dream situations you may have heard me talk about with like the vision, the people in the dream being there when I open my eyes, like having these trippy experiences related to dreams, nightmares, all that kind of stuff is for this is a personal thing for me for the 12th house for the so you will see what house it is for you and see how, yeah, those things were happening in 2005. I was like in therapy for it actually. And just FYI, the medical system has nothing to help you. To like, they might give you some pills or something. And like, anyway, it was a long time ago. I don't know what they're doing now, to be honest. But I did get a whole lot of skills that have to do with dreams and sleeping. And I've had to study a lot about that because that's what these eclipses work on for me. So this has been a continuation of that story. So you also want to take note that, as I mentioned, this is only going to happen every 18 years. And every 9 years, there's a flip. So in 9 more years, the North Node will go back into Libra and the South Node will be in Aries. So we have this like nodal reversal thing that happens every 9 years, but this is an 18-year cycle. So we will not have eclipses like this on the Aries Libra axis again for another 18 years. So just to give it that extra energy of like, let's really get this, like, let's really get this. And when I say that, I mean it. It's like, you know what you've been, you know what your lessons have been with those eclipses that started in 2023. You know what has been like, you've been feeling pushed to evolve. And that's the North Node. The South Node, which was in Libra, was, and this is still, even though the eclipse, the South Node has gone into Virgo, this eclipse will be highlighting your Libra house because of that opposition. There was things that you had to let go that were pulled away from you that were helping to purify the whatever it is that you have with your relationships, because Libra is the relational sign that is the culture bearer, helping us to understand how to relate with each other in non-hierarchical ways. So this eclipse that we're having now is a grand finale of everything you were going through to clear up, clean out whatever house you have Libra in and how you do relationships. So I think that's all I want to say right now. What's happening? That's what it is. It's a grand finale. How to work with it? Ooh, how to work with it. So, you know how to work with it because you have been working with it. Now, just you really need to think back to what was going on during those eclipses. I do have them written down if you want me to spout off the dates. I already mentioned the first two. Get your pen real quick. So March 25th, we had a South Node eclipse in Aries. And then April 8th, we had a North Node new moon in Aries at 19. Oh, you know about that. That was the big one. That was that big one that everybody was like going to Texas to go watch. September 17th, we had a North Node full moon in Pisces. October, that's 2023. I already talked about that. October 20, nope, not that one. October 2, 2024. The reason I'm skipping is because we had out of sign eclipses during that during that cycle. So that was going to be like, don't need to worry about that one. October 2, 2024, we had a Libra new moon. So that was going to be a Libra solar eclipse on October 2, 2024. You can think back like what was going on. You know what the theme was. You know what I mean? It was like there was some major theme that you were working, and some people left, some, depending on the house, maybe you had a pet that died, some work that ended, communities that you exited or that left exed you. There was some things that left, and there was a big emphasis on becoming more interdependent, being more of a leader, trailblazing, blazing some trails, cutting some paths, making a new way. That was happening in your life. Now, what you need to do now is listen to the all the signs and all the wisdom that you're getting through this week before the eclipse. Listen to that and take it seriously. You know what I'm saying? Even if you just overhear somebody talking, but it's like, oh, that was a piece of information I needed. Write it down. Take it seriously, your dreams. When you wake up and you're like, wow, I just had this dream. Take it seriously. Put it into context of the fact that we are in an evolutionary process that's meant to move us forward into what it means to be a leader, what it means to be a trailblazer who is committed to their cause and putting their body in joyful, desirous ways to work toward that cause. That's what Aries is all about. So, with that, I will close. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to come back because I'm going to be giving us a maybe live, maybe not live. We'll see how it goes. Join my Telegram group so you can get all the intel on when I'm going to be up here saying stuff. And I'll put that in the show notes also. So until next time, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to connecting with you again soon.